Hi, group number 3s. Welcome to this week's reading. This week we are talking all about boundaries. All kinds of boundaries. In fact, we have 7 kinds of boundaries we're going to talk about today. And the intention that I had with this video is that your guides and your guardians would just give me either a boundary that needs to be set, or they would bring to your attention how you need to deal with making boundaries in this area, or any advice they have for setting boundaries in this area. So it's a couple different interpretations there, but we will get through it. The card that pulled you guys in today is this gem card. It's really pretty. This is from my deck of many things deck, which is a D&D thing. If you pull this card out of the deck of many things, you end up with just a shit ton of gems. So this is really giving me an energy of like abundance. So this is really giving me the energy of abundance, of like just the universe is trying to give you gifts. So maybe you're somebody who doesn't feel like you need boundaries because you have been blessed in so many areas. But boundaries are still a thing that everybody needs. So let us discuss all these things. So I'm going to tell you what the boundaries are, and then we're going to like go through each individual pile. I'm using the Angel Tarot deck as well as my Rebel Oracle. If you have not watched the other video with my Rebel Oracle deck, it is a bit of a shit talker. It has a bit of fun language to it. So if you're somebody who doesn't like swearing, this might be a difficult reading for you guys. I'm just giving you the heads up now so that if you want to go, you can. But I think it's going to be really helpful information, and this oracle, even though it swears a lot, it's very helpful. I've found it very helpful. It's very like a drill sergeant. It just says how it is, and that's that. So we're going to use that today. Anyway, yeah, so let's get started. So the 7 boundaries that we're talking about today are physical, sexual, emotional and mental, spiritual, financial, time, and extra deal breaker boundaries. I will explain what each of those are in their sections. Okay, so let's get to it. So the first section is our physical boundaries. This is how you'd like your personal space to be treated, how you want to see the environment around you being cared for, and that kind of stuff. So like having a boundary with yourself to clean your room or make your bed every morning, or those are self boundaries. But there's also boundaries like if you have a roommate, you expect that that one of you will take the trash out every week, like that kind of thing. Even like if you have like a chore chart in your house, like that's a very clear boundary. It's a charted out version. Anyway, so here we go. We're gonna figure out what your guides are saying in this reading today. So we have the Knight of Earth in this section. It says, loyal, dedicated, honorable, kind. Time to buckle down and get things done. Honor your commitments. A guardian angel. And the Rebel card you have is Rebel. That feels like opposite energy, because fuck it. Okay. This does feel like very opposite energy to me, but I think it has something to say. So, let's see. All right. This is your physical environment. So I feel like maybe you're a procrastinator. Like maybe you're somebody who has a hard time sticking with a schedule, or maybe you have ADHD, you have a hard time with executive function, that kind of thing, to actually get things done. And these cards are telling you it's time to begin to set habits for yourself. rebel against how you used to do things, how you've always done things, like how you've been last minute your whole life, and find new ways to approach things. If you do have some kind of mental struggle with executive dysfunction, there are like YouTube channels and things that will give you helpful hints to like get yourself around those issues. Whether it's setting a timer or giving yourself a reward at the end of a task or something weird like that, like just outside of the box, to help you get where you want to go, as far as habits and consistency goes and schedule. It feels like you're somebody who has been a bit of a rebel, maybe a fly-by-night kind of person, and you're seeking some kind of stability. Like you want a bunch of gems dropped at your feet because that would make life easy. But I think the gems that your guides are trying to drop at your feet is like, hey, now it's time to like set boundaries with ourselves and honor our commitments to ourselves so that we can have a clean environment, so that we can have a space where we can creatively work, where we can feel safe and comfortable to explore all the other areas of our life. So yeah, that's what I'm hearing from all of that. I hope that makes sense. And I think you're also protected in this endeavor of changing habits. It's gonna suck at first. It's gonna take a while to figure out what works for you individually, because everybody's brain is super different. But it's a process that I'm going through currently. So I feel you. It's hard and takes a while to figure out what really does work for you and where you need help, where you need a guardian angel, where you need somebody to help you out, where you need to just say, fuck it, I can't do it all on my own. Let somebody else in on what's going on. Okay? So that's what I'm seeing there. The next section, this is sexual boundaries. These kind of boundaries protect your right to consent. They also like help people know what your preferences are. It helps you define what you see as sexual and what you don't see as sexual. It helps you define relationships with people that you have a sexual intimate connection with. That kind of thing. So let us see what we have in this area. We have the 8 of Earth, which is skilled work is rewarded. Learning all there is to know about a topic. Going back to school. Ooh. We also have shame, regret, and guilt. Those are just bullshit. Forgive and let that shit go. Ooh, I love this energy. Yeah. Cool. So you might be learning that there's a lot more to the sexual realm than you had ever thought of before, that you've ever considered before. And you might be confronting old boundaries of yours that may be taught boundaries, that may be societally taught boundaries, like girls can't have a sexual libido kind of sexual boundaries. You may be rethinking those ideas and realizing that there's a lot more out there that you haven't discovered and haven't been privy to, and you're now looking into those things. That's super exciting for you. I'm really happy for you. You're going to find in some sexual circles, like for example the kink community, that there is so much talk about boundaries and safe practices and safeguards for people and hard lines and all that stuff. It's super interesting to learn about and also understand consent in a completely different way. Like when a kink scene happens, they plan it out very meticulously so that no one is surprised in the middle of a scene. This kind of consent is very in depth and very cool. It's very different than the kind of consent a lot of us grew up with, where we're just kind of like, this kind of feels good, I'm just gonna kind of go with it. No, this is like talked out, very detailed levels of consent. And like, yeah, so anyway, anyway, you might be somebody who's just now exploring different worlds in sexual realms. And one of the things you are going to learn about are boundaries, are sexual boundaries. And getting very familiar with them, getting very intimate with them is going to help you overcome a lot of this shame and regret, because you just didn't know this information. This is information you wish you had known, but you didn't. So you couldn't have done good back then. Now you're going to do better. That's the kind of energy I'm getting from this, is that you're going to learn so much delving into something that it might bring up things from the past that you feel bad about, but your guides are saying, this is new information to you. Do not be ashamed that you did not have this information. This is a flaw in your education, not a flaw in your personality or you. So let that go and just enjoy this learning process, this growing process. It's exciting. And it could not even be like sexual acts. It could be about sexual relationships and going outside the norm of that and really exploring what all of that means, like polyamory or just open. Hi, group number 3s. Sorry, my camera cut me off. But I was just saying that maybe you're exploring a different kind of relationship instead of the typical heteronormative monogamous type relationship, and you're having a lot of learning in that process as well. And maybe there's some shame or guilt connected to going outside of the norm, but the more you learn about it, the more you're like, oh, I kind of like this kind of resonates with me. And your guides are very excited for you to go on that journey of exploration. And remember to like set up boundaries for yourself just to protect yourself. Like if you're not ready for something, voice that. Make sure you voice it too, because if you don't and you get pushed into something you're not ready for, you may build up some resentments to whoever asked you to do the thing. So that's my cautionary tale. So let's move on to the third section. This is the emotional and mental boundaries. This is the area where you like stand up for yourself in personal situations, how you express yourself in the world. So these are things like I will not be called a slut in conversation. That is not an okay term to use with me, and if you do use that term with me, we will not talk for a while. That kind of stuff. It's also things like if you're processing any kind of trauma, I'm not ready to speak on this trauma, so I'm not going to speak on this trauma with you. And that is a totally okay thing to do, even with your therapist. I know they're there to help you process trauma, but also if you are not emotionally ready or physically ready to do that yet, like you have the rights to your own story. You can tell them how you want, in the manner you want, as much as you want, and if not at all, not at all. You just get to decide who you trust with your stories. Okay, so this is emotional and mental boundaries, and we have the card, the Emperor, Archangel Michael. He's been showing up a lot in these readings. Archangel Michael, not the Emperor specifically, but organization and logic, structure and discipline, leadership. And you also have this Rebel card, which says, you are loved. Aw, you are here for a reason. Don't fuck it up. Thanks, Rebel deck. I told you, they're a bit aggressive. I love them very much, but they are a bit aggressive. Okay, so the Emperor, yeah, so what I'm seeing here is that there have been a lot of assumed boundaries in your life. Like, you would just assume nobody would cross, but you've never really had a conversation with the people you love about that thing you'd expect them not to cross. Here's a really wild out there example, but for example, we don't like expect the people in our house, in our families, to be racist. We don't expect that, and we don't normally feel like we have to set boundaries around that because we just expect them not to be. And then when we find out they are, it can be quite a bit of a jolt. But it feels like there's been a lot of those kinds of things. If you just didn't expect anybody to go that far, and then they did. But there was never a boundary in place to tell them not to go that far. So you feel like you can't be angry at them because of that. But now's the time to start setting up real boundaries, and like well-defined boundaries, to really have serious, prolonged conversations with those that you love about what needs to be a boundary, and what and how you want that to look, and what the consequences are for going over that boundary, because nobody else is going to do that for you. You have to take control of that for yourself. You have to do that yourself. Yeah, it is a need to be very direct with your emotional and mental boundaries. I've said this on every pile. I'm going to link down in the description a podcast that just kind of talks about these 7 boundaries. This is where I got the inspiration to do this video, and it's just kind of general information done very well by a younger person. Don't be afraid of the label on it. I know it says information for people in their 20s or something like that, but like it's really good information that can help anybody at any age, so don't worry about the age label. So it's a need to really specify what you need and what you need from other people. You need to take ownership of your own life and start guiding it that way. But you are loved. You're here to do something. You're here. The people who do love you are going to be so proud of you for setting up boundaries, for telling them how you really feel about things when it happens, instead of just burying your feelings and hiding. The people who love you are really going to respect you and try their best to meet your boundaries, to work with you on these boundaries, and yeah, and really stick to them. It's going to be a process. Like, nothing changes overnight. If you've never had boundaries, when you set them up, there are going to be people who are upset about them because they just don't understand, or don't feel the need or whatever. But there's always a need, and otherwise you wouldn't be setting the boundary. So yeah. But those who love you will be very on board, and those who are there to use you will be very not on board at first. But if they wish to remain in your life, they better get on board, because you're taking back your power. Fuck yeah, Emperor. Take back your power. Okay, anyway. So, I'm moving on to the next one. This one is your spiritual boundaries. These kind of boundaries protect your right to believe what you want and practice your beliefs. So this is like having Sunday off to go to church, or requiring that your boss give you 5 minutes throughout the day to pray, or that kind of stuff. Or setting a time aside for yourself, like I do, to do these readings. And yeah, that kind of thing. And not tolerating other people's negative talk about your beliefs. That is another very big boundary when it comes to spirituality. So anyway, here we go. This is what we have For your spiritual boundaries, we have the 8 of Fire. Events moving at a fast pace. Delays are over. Many things happening at once. Ooh. And then the other card we have for you is You Do You. Stop trying to change people. That shit never works. Yeah. Whoa. That's crazy. Yeah. So a lot of the language that we have around boundaries is these are things we put in place to try and teach other people how to treat us. But there's always the need to keep in mind that you cannot change other people. You can only change yourself. You cannot change other people's behavior. You can only change your own behavior. So when people continually break these boundaries, it's time for you to not expect them to change their behavior, but for you to change your behavior. This means if this boundary is continually broken, maybe it's time to walk away from somebody, that kind of thing. But with this together in the spiritual section of boundaries, I'm really seeing that like a lot of things are coming together for you all at once in your spiritual life. A lot of things like synchronicities and like magic, like things are moving fast. Many things happening at once. You're going to find that the more you invest in your spiritual practice and you do you, how you want to, the more you're going to have things in your life change because you are investing in something very core to your being. And as you do you, you're going to find that some people don't align with that. And it's not your responsibility to change these people. It's not your responsibility to save them or anything like that. You can only focus on your actions and what you do with the gems that the universe is giving to you. So if you want to express love and gratefulness to the person for being in your life and ask them to continue to be in your life despite their disagreement with you in this area, you are more than welcome to do that. But if they are not willing to accept you for doing you, then we gotta move on. Because the universe is guiding us very heavily in this area. They are throwing gems at your feet in this area, in this spiritual area. And you can't change other people. You can only change you. You don't want to leave behind something so deeply connected to your being for somebody else's being. I hope that makes sense to you. Because we're not slowing down in this area. If anything, you're going faster. And some people are not gonna be able to keep up with you. And that's okay. You do you, boo. This is purely for you. Your spiritual life is for you, not for other people. And I think you need to come to terms with that and have some sort of boundary that lets you take what resonates and release what doesn't, and not take other people's baggage with you down this path of enlightenment. I hope that makes sense for you. Okay, I'm gonna move on from that. and we're going to move to financial boundaries. These are how you would like to use or protect your resources. So this is things like, I don't want my roommate using my car without asking, or something like, I don't want my spouse to be spending money on something big that we didn't even discuss, or I don't want to be spending money on that company because that company has questionable morals, those kinds of boundaries. So we have in this spot the 3 of Earth, which says the power of creativity, recognition for very high quality work, be a team player. We also have put the fucking phone down. Too much screen time is making you awkward and sad. Go talk to a live person. Put the fucking phone down. Thank you, Rebel Deck. Okay, so wait, yes, financial. So this is in the area of financial boundaries. So what I'm seeing in this is that you're in some kind of relationship that there needs to be a discussion about finances in some way. And it needs to not be over the phone. It needs to not be through text. It needs to be in person, face to face. It needs to be creative and recognizing the other person as a partner in this relationship of money, of however you are bound together with this person. Maybe they're a business partner or a spouse or just a roommate. But there needs to be a team meeting. There needs to be a team meeting of some kind to begin to put some boundaries in place. Like, all right, we need to make sure we have the rent at this day every single month, barring emergencies. Or we need to have a serious discussion about if we want to go to this event together, we need to save X amount of dollars over this amount of time. There needs to be a much more collaborative energy to your finances, is what I'm hearing from this. You just kind of telephoning and being like, I don't know, you handle it, is not gonna be good enough now. If you're the person who's not good at finances, you need to be getting a little bit more in on the game, so that you can help. Because putting all of the burden of financial responsibility on one person in a relationship is not helpful. There needs to be at least some discussion. If you're a single person, you don't have a roommate, this doesn't, that message doesn't really apply to you. It's more about taking control of your own finances. It's more about finding people who can help you really figure it out. And not comparing yourself to other people. That might be a boundary that really needs to be set in your own mind or in your own social media, is that I am not going to compare my finances and my how I'm doing in the world with how these famous Instagram people are doing in the world, because we are not in the same bracket and it's not fair to do that to myself. So maybe we set up some boundaries around social media so that we are not constantly comparing ourselves to where other people are in their lives. Yeah, so those are a couple different interpretations of that one. All right, moving on. This pile here is about our time boundaries. These boundaries are to protect how you spend your energy, how you spend your time, how much time you give to overtime, or how much time you give to your spouse, or how how much time you give to a hobby, how much time you give to video games or social media, that kind of stuff. So, cards we have here are Strength, Archangel Ariel, Great Inner Strength, Release harsh judgments, Forgiveness and Compassion. And then we also have the Lightning Bolts, which says, figure shit out on your own. Yeah. You might be in a time of, there's a lot to do, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of things I want to give my energy to. There's a lot of things I don't have time for. There needs to be some compassion, some understanding that time is a limited resource, and you can't do it all. You can't do it all in one day, you can't do it all every day. There needs to be some compassion, some rest, some figuring out what you can and can't do, some understanding that you're a human with limitations. You have great inner strength, but god damn it, you can't do everything. So I feel like you're somebody who's really time poor, who's really trying to do all of the things, who wants to look at every shiny gem in the pile when you need some help to go through all the gems. So figuring some shit out on your own might require some rest, some relaxation, some release of judgment of yourself for not being able to do everything on your plate, and some compassion and understanding with yourself to ask for help. Yeah. Because, yeah, time is not something you have. Like, time is not a resource that you can slow down or make more of. So, it's a struggle for everybody, and you just have to kind of figure out what works for you and how much you can actually take. Like, don't be like, I can take it, I can take it, I can take it, I can keep working, I can keep working, I can keep working. It's about being like, no, I'm gonna have the inner strength to say no to that day of work because I need a day to myself, or I'm going to murder everyone at work. It's that kind of inner strength that's needed here. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that topic. So we're gonna move on to the last one, which is the 7 boundary. This is deal breakers. This is the others. These are the boundaries that encompass a lot of different kinds of boundaries and aren't necessarily one type of boundary. Things like infidelity, or things like a lease with somebody, because that's financial, but it's also mental and emotional, and it's also your physical space, and like, so these are ones that are like lots of stuff in one. So we're gonna see what your ancestors have for your unique boundary that's yours. So we have for you the Empress card. This is Archangel Gabriel. It says, lavish abundance. Give birth to your dreams. Nurture yourself and others. Oh, it's got so many little animals on it. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's really cute. I hope it's focused. It's hard to tell outside if it's focused or not, but the Empress. So you got the matching pair of the Emperor and the Empress, and your Rebel card says, stop talking, shut your mouth and listen. Wow. Okay. So, wow. You also got a bunch of major arcanas. Anyway, you also got 2 3s, if that's anything to anybody. 2 8s as well. 2 3s and 2 8s. Anyway, so that's the last message that I'm getting here. Give birth to your dreams. Nurture yourself and others. I'm hearing that, like, yourself and others. There's a need to have a collaborative approach to all the boundaries in your life. To listen to other people's boundaries as well as setting ones for yourself. You need to develop the ability to receive as well as give. Yeah, this is a boundary of nurture. This is a boundary of doing the best good for everybody. Sometimes that means putting others' needs first, but sometimes that means putting your needs first. It's having all of the gracious, compassionate understanding of a mother while also having all of the authoritative, loving discipline of a mother. It's the energy of growth. There needs to be a dedication to growth in all of the areas. A lot of, I said when we did the card picking that you guys got the gem, which is reminding me of Steven Universe. And the entire show of Steven Universe follows Steven as he grows up. And the whole time he grows up, he is taking care of others. He is always being there for all of the people in his life. Every single day, all of the time. And when we get to Steven Universe Future, we see him go through a really hard time. And at this time, it's finally everybody else's turn to be there for Steven. So there's a need for you to begin to understand what it is to receive. Because I feel like you're a giver. You're somebody who's a team player. You're somebody with a lot of internal strength, loyalty, dedication. The deck is like constantly reminding you to rebel and learn and grow. And I think it's time for you to listen to those who love you around you and receive their wisdom and begin to grow. Have a dedication towards growth in all of the areas. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do for you guys is I have my Kali Ma Oracle, and I am just going to, before my mic dies, hopefully, I'm just going to pull one card from the Kali Ma deck and give you what she has to say about your beautiful journey here to grow in all of the areas and all of the beautiful gifts that the universe is trying to give you. So Kali Ma, can you give us just one card? Ooh, oh my. Just one card, please, Kali. Oh, thank you. I didn't even get the sentence out. She was like, here you go, this the one the group needs. Okay, so group number 3, the card that you guys got is card 40, Mantra Shakti. Mantra Shakti. That's your card. I'm just gonna read it to you out of the book. So, here we go. This card is near the end of the deck. 40, Mantra Shakti. Her voice creates and dissolves universes. Her vibration within our souls creates our life path. You have the sacred power of voice. How shall you express it? To call for effective divine assistance in all ways? Do not allow negative thought or speech to undermine your inner spiritual connection. Claim your voice and your power to create. Listen to the inner guidance and then set your course in motion. Though it may not yet be visible in your physical world, a new order is generating within the soul. In time, it shall manifest in transformed physical circumstances. And I'm going to read you this little section as well. However, just like working with Kali, working with her mantra is not for the faint-hearted. When we set a boundary, it is natural that there will be a time when others attempt to cross it. We do not need to feel fearful of this, but rather be wise to it. The spiritual path is not something we walk occasionally. It is a way of being. It is a relationship to the divine. We understand there will be times when we need to call on the protection of that relationship more so than others. This is not a burden to the divine, but a beautiful opportunity for us to realize just how loved we are. When we call upon the divine, we are always answered. The message of the oracle is that you have the divine birthright to choose how to deal with negativity. You do not need to allow it to gain influence in your being. Allow others the choice to behave as they wish, with the respect that each path is unique, that you cannot know how another needs to learn to grow in their life journey. However, that is not an excuse to allow for negativity to infiltrate your being and undermine your spiritual relationship with yourself, the divine, and your spiritual path that can bring benefit to the world. The oracle brings a message from the Divine Mother. If you have need of something, ask for it. Use your voice in a way that helps you and empowers the divine to help you too. Well, that's all I'm seeing for you guys. I think Kali summed it up perfectly. Thank you so much, Kali. Thank you so much for watching this reading, you guys. We will have another one soon. Please like, comment, and subscribe on both videos if possible. And I hope you guys have a blessed everything. This was Pan. Bye, you guys.